Welcome back. So second half of the week, I've got the seat belts in there, and I just ended up getting some standard 4.1s from Spruce, and I'm kind of happy with the inertial reel, but it's still not retracting as good as I would like. Anyway, so moving on right now, here's those the layups that I did on the winglet there. That's all set up there now. Just got to trim those edges off, and the fill still needs to happen on the winglets, and some more fill areas on the wings as well. But Jeff and Devon have been making some progress on that, and it won't be too long and we'll have the wings all done. And likewise with the foreplane, Jeff got the upper surface there all sanded, and he's put some fill there in the areas that needed it, so that's just got to cure up, and then he can get on and do finish sanding on that, and that'll be getting some primer probably next week, so that'll look super nice when that one's all done. And we managed to put the aircraft back on the gear, so we could just paint these last little bits of the strake tanks there that were resting on the foam when we painted the rest of the fuselage. So things are looking good there, and you can see there the one underneath. That's all painted now, or at least primed, I should say. So everything that needs to be primed on the fuselage is done. And Jeff also did the inside of the air intake scoop as well, after he did the outside the other day. So we're on to the big day that you've all been waiting for. Time to get the fuselage out of the shop. And so for everybody wondering how we're going to do it, you're just about to see. So I'll give you a bit of a rundown. We've got a forklift on either side. We've got some straps there, just sort of loops mounted to the holes there that hold the foreplane on. And we have the main gear on some vehicle dollies and strapped down, so that can sort of just slide around. And as you can see, we're tipping it up there on the tail and out the door. And it was a tight fit. There wasn't much, room to play with there. You can see the tail end there is almost touching the concrete. In fact, a couple of times it just did touch it, and then we just let it back down again. And we had to do a little bit of dancing just to get it out the door there, from without it hitting on the nose wheel or hitting on the back of the fuselage there. But it didn't take too long to do it. I think we had it out the door in about 25 minutes or something like that, and just being really careful. And then once you go out the door, there's a downhill there, so that you can see we've got ropes there on that dolly there on the left hand side, and holding that so the whole thing doesn't just want to slide down the hill. And then ultimately when we got it out there a little bit, and we hit the asphalt there on the dolly, the main wheel there was wanting to slide off the dolly, and so we had to do a little bit of maneuvering, but we were pretty much out the door at that point. And so this is a view from a different angle. You can see what's going on here. And yeah, that's, I measured everything up in the CAD, and that's one of the great things about the CAD. You can just get a perfect measurement on everything, and measure it up for the door, and this was literally the only way we could get it out of there. But I planned this years ago, knowing that this day was going to come and we'd have to deal with it. So the forklifts was just a thing that we sort of added later, doing 2 forklifts, but that actually was the way to do it. We did really only one forklift. The one Jeff was driving was holding most of the weight, and the one Gary was driving there on the other side, it was just kind of like a backup. But it worked well, because if Jeff accidentally sort of lost it, Gary was there to pick it up. So yeah, as you can see, didn't have any problems really. Didn't even put a scratch on it going out the door, which is kind of amazing, because there wasn't a lot of room to deal with. But once out the door, as I said, we just lowered it down, and the nose there, and just let it sort of spin around and sort of face down the hill a little bit. And then we just locked the brakes there, and got it off both of the dollies there on the main wheels, and then just turned the nose down the hill, and I jumped in it and was on the brakes and just allowed it to roll down the hill, and turn directly down the hill, not sideways or anything like that. So, and you'll see that here. And sorry for the camera angle being so far away, that I wasn't really thinking too much about getting the best camera angles here. I was pretty much focused on making sure we didn't do any damage or anything. So there you can see the nose wheel coming down, and we're on the ground there now. And this is when we just basically got it off the main wheel, off the dollies. And yeah, you'll see Jeff gets under the wing and lifts that thing like he's Superman. Not that it weighs that much really, it doesn't have the engine on it. So there it goes, down the hill, and away we go, and ready to tow. And so the next thing we did here was got the engine up on the on Britt's flatbed. He was nice enough to lend us his dually, because it's got a nice big wide flatbed, and the forklift there with the big 8-foot forks that we had on there before when we were moving stuff there a few weeks back. And just didn't take any effort at all to get the engine up there, so we want it on the stand there just so it's easier to maneuver it around. And when we get it up to the airport there, we'll just use the forklift to pick it off there again and mount it back on to the fuselage. So yeah, things are really happening now with all this getting underway. So yeah, got that on there, and then once we had that on there, it was time to move up to the airport. So here we are, just getting ready to tow, and I hadn't really had any experience just seeing how well the nose wheel casted on this, and certainly not while towing, and just using the same hard points there on the forward bulkhead as our tow points, and just 2 of these towing straps there just on the tow hitch on Britt's truck. So about to find out what's going on. I already knew that I could steer it and just sort of do differential braking, but it was a little bit wobbly when it was slow. You can see it's doing a little left-right thing every now and then. And of course, we picked it 3:30 and thinking, oh, there'll be nobody out there 3 o'clock, and then all of a sudden there's cars everywhere. So here I am just rolling down the hill there. Unfortunately, the cars could get by on there. We're not taking up too much room. And once we got down the bottom of the hill, we hooked the straps back up again and towed it up the hill, past the last few offices there, and then up the rest of the hill where there really isn't anybody, but even there we ran into another car. You'll see there on the left. So yeah, just up the hill, and really didn't have any problems. Things were just going so smoothly. I was just kind of wondering when the shoe was going to drop, when the other shoe was going to drop. But yeah, got up here and eyeballed where we were going to take it through between the other aircraft there, because we're at the airport now, on the south side of the field there. Well, yeah, I guess it's the south side. And yeah, just sort of went through an opening there where they'd moved one of the aircraft there on just the regular tie downs on the ramp there. And then after that, we were just off, and all we had to do was just go along the taxiway there, and then cross the runway. And we had some of the guys there that from the airport that run the airport there, just on a golf cart, just leading us along there to make sure that we weren't going to interfere with any other aircraft. Unfortunately, wasn't anybody landing or taking off right about then. So the most traffic was actually on the road there. And we picked 3 o'clock thinking, oh, that's the perfect time. Everybody's back at work and no one leaves until at least 3:30 or 4. But all of a sudden there was all these cars there just leaving right around where we were. But fortunately we didn't block anybody, which was good. And we were getting a few little sprinkles of rain, but nothing much. And it was kind of actually fun. So here I'm sitting in, I've got my other camera going now, and sitting there with the doors off, and I was thinking, man, this would be actually cool if you could fly this plane like a helicopter with the doors off. It'd be kind of a bit drafty, but it was nice. Just cruise along with the doors off. So here we are, just crossing over, just about to cross over the runway. And this is at Cherokee County Airport in Ball Ground, Georgia, for anybody who's interested, is where we are. Please don't come and poke around at the airport all the time. We don't want a big circus of people while we're doing taxi testing and things like that. If I see tons of people or anybody sort of milling around, I'm just not going to do anything, because I don't really want other people posting videos of what we're trying to do here. I'm the one trying to tell this story, and I think I've been pretty open and honest with everybody. Last thing I want is someone else going, "Oh, here, saw a Raptor out there taxiing and they had a problem, blah blah blah," But anyway, don't want to be negative about everything, but as you can see, we're across the runway there, and just pulling up to the hangar where we just got some shared space, and we'll be in there for a little while we get the engine back on and get the wings finished off and moved up here, and then bolted on. And we still got a bunch of different little things that need to happen before we can do some real taxi testing, but it was time to move up to the airport, so this was the day. So just disconnected those straps again, and just for now just threw them in the nose, and pulled the aircraft into the hangar. And then after that we unloaded the engine and put that in there, and that was it for the day. So mission accomplished. Nobody got hurt, nothing got damaged. All in all, a really successful day with getting that all done without any problems. So I was pretty happy about how that all turned out. And next week we'll finish off a little bit of work that we need to do on the wings for getting those all primed and move them up here, and then we'll be out of the other shop and just up here for the remainder while we get into taxi testing. And then if everything goes smoothly with the taxi testing, then we'll have test pilot come out and take a peek at it and see what he thinks, and we'll go from there. So that's the story so far. So anybody who's new to this channel, it's probably going to get a little bit more exciting now, because you're actually going to see us moving the aircraft around instead of just working and doing sanding and priming and all that good stuff. So things are actually starting to change around in terms of the content, and hopefully it's a little bit more exciting for everybody to watch. So anyway, that's our update for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have another update for you in the middle of next week, and we'll see how things are progressing with getting the wings finished. So thanks again for watching.